Hello, welcome to a new Cube video. My name is Pavel Savianko and today I show you how to modify calltree in CubeGUI. Let's go. So we are back to our terminal. We start a cube and we open our example cube file and get our already familiar trees. And today we want to learn about a feature of cutting calltree and to see for what it is useful. So this feature was introduced because very often, especially in the beginning of the performance analysis or initial performance measurement, one obtains the profiles with very large call trees. I am not talking about this example. This example is actually very small. I'm talking about situations where call tree has hundreds of thousands of elements. In this case, logical advice would be to reduce the size of call tree already during the measurement, which we always tell our users during tuning workshops or in performance analysis tutorials, which you can find in our partner channel. And one uses filtering, one uses selective measurements or various other techniques. So, but that is the topic of Scorpy. Here we are with Cube, and here we demonstrated how one deals with the situation in the Cube. So one would like to reduce the size of the Cube file of the profile to its necessary minimum, so that one can proceed with the further step. Why the cube is the call tree is too large? Because the further analysis steps are taking too long. Calculation of some metrics takes too long, and so on. So one would like to reduce the size of the profile, and the most logical place for that is the call tree, because that is the usually unfiltered part. So if we take a look where one finds this feature, and because it is call tree, one finds it of course on the context menu in the call tree panel, and that's here. So cut call tree, and one gets feature set as root, prune element, set as leaf, and undo. Of course, this menu, this option makes sense only if one selects some element. Over the empty space, it doesn't make sense because it doesn't give any context. Technically, this feature would be possible also in a metric tree or also in system tree, because the operation of cutting tree or setting it as a root makes sense partially also in a metric tree, but it doesn't make sense in case of our data model, so we didn't implement it for metric tree or system tree. So this feature is available only for call tree. So let's take a closer look. So one of the options is set as root. So that does exactly what it says. We select the subtree which we are interested on. So in this case, this is ADI. Obviously, the majority of runtime is happening or spent in ADI, and everything else is minimal. So we, for our analysis, we actually don't need this neighbored call tree. So we can set ADI as a root and obtain a new call tree, which consists only of subtree of ADI subtree. So all other elements they are gone, and if we notice the values in metric tree, they has changed because the size of the tree is now smaller, and the values, of course, in the system tree, they have changed. If one made mistake or changed one's mind, so one can undo this operation like any another operation. So again, one can restore the previous state, and the values are back, and everything is back. So okay, what we go on, we reduce our call tree, we set, for example, ADI as a root. If one goes to flat tree, one sees that also that the flat tree consists only of regions of this selected subtree, and the regions of the another parts, they are also gone. So counterpart of this operation would be set as leaf. In this case, it's not the neighbor subtrees are getting removed, but the own subtree, so own children. So if we set it as assuming we are not interested in performance data which are happening here, so we are interested only on these values, and our further steps, they don't need any data from the children of this region, so we can set them as leaf, and in this way the inclusive value of this region becomes also its exclusive value. No values are changing left and right because we didn't actually do any expansions or anything, and we simply cannot resolve this tree. We cannot expand this element and see what's going on under it. It's like we wouldn't instrument further these regions. So let's set all of them as leaves, and in this way we reduced our call tree actually to only these 6 elements. And if we take a look at the flat tree, there are also only these regions are here presented. And the last operation is actually prune element. It's basically removing the selected element and all the subtree. So in this case, for example, we don't need this add, and we click and we prune it. Here one should notice that the value of this element jump and is now attributed to ADI. In this way, the structure of call tree has changed, but the integrity of the performance data didn't change. So we didn't lose any measured performance data. That's why the values on the left side didn't change, the values on the right side only have changed because of this attribution. One can understand it as if one wouldn't have instrumented this add region. So that's why the value, the time, for example, spent in this region is attributed to the ADI. So let's assume we reduced our call tree to the size which we would like to have for our further analysis, for remapping, or for pop analysis, or for anything else. We would like to, of course, store it and save it for further steps. So we can go to the file and we can go on a save as, and we select here, for example, in directory, and call it, for example, reduced CubeX. So now it is stored. Here, as a side note, one has to mention that this operation actually modifying underlying cube object and removes the data from this object. That's why we can save new object, basically, new profile. If we would perform filtering, about which I will do another video, stay tuned, we would simply modify display of the call tree depending on some criteria. That wouldn't modify underlying cube file, and if we would just filter out display of call tree and then try to save a copy of it, we would get a copy. We wouldn't get a reduced cube file. So this difference one has to keep in mind when one is modifying call tree and then saving in a copy. So let's take a look on a result. So if we go on another terminal and we take a look, so our previous cube file, which was located somewhere here, and it was in here in doc and CubeGUI example. Here we see that this cube file was 7.5 megabytes large or small. It is actually minimal for the modern times. Nevertheless, it is 7.5 megabytes this cube file, and the resulted reduced cube file is only 500 kilobytes. So that is the result of this cutting call tree, and that is the way how one reduces size of the profile with which one is working. I hope you like this video. Please comment, subscribe and give us a like. Thank you very much and see you next time.